What's up? What is up? What's up? We're live with another episode of Nerdology, a special Monday edition since we were out on Friday. A little blast from the past, a little throwback from how we used to do things in season one. So,
Thanks.
uh, but yeah, we're back for another week. We will be back on our regular schedule, obviously, this upcoming Friday. But without further ado, as always, I'm your boy Chris from CL Smooth Gaming. We have a lot of fire content dropping on the channel right now. Appreciate everybody for supporting on that. And of course, our esteemed founder from IMS Productions, Jai. You know him from Hey Jai and a multitude of other things. So, just Jai, obviously we've been gone for last Friday, but how was your week? How was your week? We
Pretty
know you had
good, pretty good. Yeah, saw Thunderbolts.
I was just about to say.
Yeah.
Just about to say you saw Thunderbolts. I know you're excited about talking about that.
We'll give a spoiler-free review because my co-host has not seen it yet, and you guys will have the real review Friday.
I
don't have it done.
I have it. I guess I have myself booked up to go see it tomorrow. Lots of things have been going on, but obviously, Thunderbolts is a huge thing I got to go see. Actually a lot of things I got to see, man. I'm still trying to catch up on that last episode of Andor. I don't know if you've been watching that, the first 3 episodes.
Well, I'm waiting
season 2. Waiting to binge it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, as always, guys, like, comment, sub to the channel. We have 74 subs on CL Smooth Gaming. So subscribe to us, subscribe to IMS. If you like sports, go hit up my boy JTS After Dark. So lots of fire content coming for you guys. We have a great show today. Of course, the big news of GTA 6 being postponed. We're gonna talk about that. We're obviously gonna review Thunderbolts, spoiler-free review, like we said. But before that, let's just jump into a couple of headlines real quick. This past Friday, we had a new Fortnite chapter. Still trying to get my boy John on Fortnite, but
I got the TIE fighters. It did look enticing. I ain't gonna lie. It got the TIE fighters on there.
We got the TIE fighters. We got the X-Wings. It's a Star Wars season. Like I said, this season's actually short, so it's only gonna last like a month. But man, like the developers are really giving us a lot here, where we get like all the Star Wars weapons for the whole month. We got the lightsabers. They've made a return, although they're nerfed. Like they're not as strong as they did a few seasons back, or a few chapters back, rather. So, it's fun. It's just I'm not gonna say it's sweaty. Not a whole lot of sweats, but it's. I love the TIE fighters. I love the extra, like the blaster weapons. All those things are good. The map is cool. You have all the Star Wars sites, like the First Order base, the Resistance base. The little Darth Vader layer that they put in there. All those things are fun. The cantina is in there, so you have all the iconic locations that are on the map now. So, and the game is just slower. It's a little different. So if there's ever a time to get into it, it's to get into it now. But speaking of Star Wars, by the way, I don't know if you know, but they re-released Revenge of the Sith in theaters. That I did go see last weekend. And I mean, obviously we've seen this movie countless times, but it's just nice to see it in theaters. Fun fact, this is actually my first time ever seeing Revenge of the Sith in theaters. So,
I've never seen any Star Wars in theaters outside of the new trilogy. I've only seen the first 6 movies. I've only seen via streaming.
Yeah.
But one cool thing was that Leia had her daughters watching be the OG Princess Leia. So I do love that. Man, it's just really amazing that there's no way that in the 70s that Lucas could have thought that his art would just have so much impact.
Yeah.
Generation, almost 60 years later. Like that's crazy.
It is crazy. It's like when you create something that's so great, obviously that's so like cultural significant, like such a cultural significance, like that's something that's like we can only dream to like achieve. So hopefully, I hope
all the story creators, future movie creators, book writers, things like that, you guys, like the emphasis of that Star Wars really was something that transcended. It broke the walls of the universe. It created its own universe, its own scale. It's literally about space. And like its own races, its own species, its own political issues and things like that, man. So if you're creative, don't be afraid to push that boundary, because you could have something that could expand generations, have generations of fans. There are people becoming new Star Wars fans every single day.
Every day.
Every single day. So,
and this is just a testament to it. Like, this movie this 20th anniversary for it, came out in 2005, and here we are. We're doing almost $1 billion worldwide. So, that's crazy. That's crazy. Still just as good as ever. Last real quick, Rick and Morty season 8. I don't know if you're a big Rick and Morty fan. Rick and Morty season 8 comes out this week.
I am super excited for that. So like completely random. I didn't know whenever season 8 was supposed to come out, and then just like randomly, just trying to find something to watch on HBO Max, just kind of like a time waster. And I was like, oh, let me go check in on Rick and Morty, because I stopped watching after season 5, and I was like, oh, let me catch up on it, and watching seasons. So I binged like season 5, 6, and 7, and I was like, damn, when's the next Rick and Morty season coming out?
Yeah.
And then boom, I found out. I was like, oh, I only gotta wait like a week and a half. Man.
Yeah, man. Rick and Morty is that shit's so funny, man. It's so funny because it's like, it feels random, but it's not. Like, you really it's the continuity is crazy. How like they'll bring something up from season 2 back into season 7, So,
and I like how they make fun of it too. Sometimes, like especially towards like the later seasons, they were making fun of like the continuity. Like they had the story train thing, and they had like a whole metaverse episode where everybody that was fighting had something else, be like, oh, that's fourth wall man or something like that.
Yeah,
so I fuck with that. That's another Rick and Morty is another like creatively cool concept, because it's just a guy. It starts off first episode, just a guy, his grandfather, just typical Adult Swim show. Mm-hmm. But as you go into it, it's deeper themes, and honestly, he's not afraid to touch on like some darker themes in there too. Like, I ain't gonna lie, like the last episode of season 7, they had like a fear hole, and of course they had like different like gags, because it was like Rick and Morty weren't scared of anything anymore. But then it was like, oh, they have this fear hole that's in the middle of a Denny's bathroom. It's just so random. And of course they had like the gags of it's a spider, it's a monster crawling out of your chest or something like that. But then it just kind of got deep into, oh shit, is Rick afraid of finding his wife again and then losing her? Oh shit, it was really meta. Is Morty afraid of losing Rick and something like that? Like it has so many gems. A friend of mine posted like a clip on Instagram of something that Rick said. It was like a gem early on, and I was like, man, like you really got to think like that. That's another one where I was like, they did create a masterclass on that. For it to be that funny, that goofy. I just really appreciate art that can hit like both extremes of the spectrum.
Oh yeah, of course. If
you want to follow like the continuity and get into like the themes and the thematic storytelling of it, you could do that. You can follow the plot of like, okay, evil Morty, Rick Prime, what happened with the universe, stuff like that. Or if you just wanted to turn it on and just get some laughs at some of like the foolishness that they have going on, all of that covers. And so I just really appreciate shows that do that, man. So shout out to Rick and Morty. Super excited for season 8.
Season 8 comes out Thursday, May 8th. So can't wait. I'm gonna have that just going. I love that. Let's not bury the lead here. So obviously let's just jump into our first big topic of tonight. GTA 6. We kind of felt like this was coming. I mean, it felt like it was an inevitability, low key. I mean, we were just praying every day. I remember every day we wake up, we look on Instagram, we look at the headlines, and we're just like, okay, did GTA 6 get delayed? Okay, it didn't get delayed. Okay, I can sleep. But we got confirmation. We got confirmation.
It's gonna have that in there, and then it's just
we get all these other little updates, maybe like from all these other outlets saying, the developers are saying that it's still on track for fall of 2025. Well, of course, Friday we get the news, May 26th, 2026. So the good news is that we actually have a date, right? There is a concrete date, May 26th. Bad news is that's over a year away now. So we went from a few months to a whole nother year. And so one of the things that I looked at that immediately came to my head was this just changes the whole landscape of the gaming slate of this year and the gaming slate of next year. Right?
Absolutely.
Because now you have all the games, the competing games from this year. Suddenly, this fall window, this Black Friday, Christmas window is back open for them. Meanwhile, any game coming out in the spring, summer of next year, now they're having a hard time. So now they're going to have to figure out and pivot.
Which I kind of feel bad for, because that's usually the time that like the indie games come out. The kind of small developer games they come out where, because it's like it's that drought where all the Call of Duties and the sports games have been played, and so it's getting into that summertime drought, and then that's a good time for like smaller developers, smaller studios to come out with just like some creative windows. But man, if GTA 6 comes out in the summertime, which honestly I think this is actually a better date for Rockstar, because now there's literally no competition. There's no major game that's gonna come out. All the major games come out in the fall. The heavy hitters, So there's no major game that's gonna come out around that time. So yeah, I think Rockstar, this is a blessing in disguise for them. But for them to push it back almost a whole 6 months, actually over 6 months, because it's in the fall, so that was probably like October, November. So yeah, over 6 months. Either something did not go right from what was originally there, or they're gonna add something, and whatever they add, it better hit.
Yeah,
it better be something like amazing. Like we better be able to travel the whole state of Florida or something.
Yeah, that's the thing I was looking at. It's like, I remember a few episodes back we talked about, well, what's the pressure level that they'd face if a delay did occur, like if they had to delay the game. And so I guess for me, I'm looking at it like, yeah, this is disappointing, but how much do we trust Rockstar to make a banger game, right? So how, like, to that point, yeah, if they're adding something, it's either going to be adding something that's going to make the game go from a 9 to a 10, like a perfect 10 out of 10, or they're fixing things up. Maybe they had a few trial runs that didn't go well, or maybe they had some bugs, glitches, things that they really wanted to patch up. Maybe they wanted to add more detail to either the world or to the story or to whatever. I don't know. I'm not in the room there, but yeah, like to that point, like there is something holding the game back, obviously. And
it's a 10-year expectation date, so it has to be a 10 out of 10 out the gate.
Yeah,
like it, or and by 10 out of 10, I mean at least operationally, right? Your enjoyment is going to be subjective. The story is going to be subjective, but you can't have it come out with bugs. You can't have it come out and crash. Mm-hmm. Everybody's going to run a GTA Online. You can't have the servers not work. So maybe they're doing it for that. But I know we spoke last week last episode, and we were saying that I was on the side of, well, it's not too much pressure, because in my mind I'm thinking a delay. Okay, it's not fall, but it's gonna come out in like December. Right. Like you don't come out October, it's gonna come out like December or something like that. But you pushing it all the way back to May. Yeah, no, that pressure is on them now. Now this game, yeah. If it's 6 months, the game can't have any issues, any operational issues whatsoever. Yeah. I don't want a slow loading screen. I don't want it freeze. I don't want a freeze frame. I want everything that they are using to promote the game, it needs to be there day one. I don't want a DLC patch. I don't want to wait until an update. If you push it back, we've been waiting on this game for 10-ish years. You push it back over 10 years, because GTA 5 came out with 2012, 2013?
Yeah, 13, so, something like that.
Yeah, so 13 years between games. Yeah, no, it just needs to be. There's no excuse now.
I'm afraid that it's gonna like, oh shit, hold on one sec.
That's why they delay 6 months.
Yeah, I was more afraid of. Sorry, I got somebody gotta give me a call. That it's gonna raise the price of the game. Now we're like, we can expect like, well, will the price of the game increase now if they're gonna, especially if they're adding stuff, if they're, doing extra things, will that increase the price of the game? But keep in mind, we're already expecting to pay $100 to $150 for the game. So there's a lot of factors that can go into this delay. I think the sentiment that I've seen around like just Twitter and Instagram and all the other social medias was like people are disappointed, but they're understanding. People are more they're seeing it from the perspective of, well, Rockstar obviously cares about the quality of their product. They're making sure that the product is as flawless as possible. God dang, somebody's calling me. Hold up, one sec. Let me make sure. You calling me during the show? Now I see what Shannon Sharp feels like sometimes when he be crashing out on Nightcap.
He's like, God damn.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, man. Like this is a huge thing for games, man. This is so crazy. And it was crazy because it was like the news came out like so early, in the day, Friday. Like they dropped that while everybody was asleep almost, that GTA was gonna come out until May 26th. But at the very least, like I said, we got a release date. Like that was something that we've been waiting for. It was a release date. That gives them more time. Look, I think now they kind of owe us more trailers. They kind of owe us more gameplay, like something other than what we got. Like we just played the only trailer that we
I
can
think
go
we
off
definitely
of.
need some like actual game footage now. I don't think we need like a cutscene. I don't think we need like a promo. I want some game footage that you have done to at least hold us over, and it doesn't have to be immediate, but the fact that although I do think, and we can come back to this, I feel like it's going to be significant. The fact that they gave us an actual day and date now, because I think they could have, what is literally a year out, because we're in May 2025 right now, so literally a year out, they could just say May 2026, right?
They gave us
and it would have the same reaction. So they gave us a date. So I think that date is going to be significant in some capacity. Chat, don't worry. I'm going to do my investigation research before Friday. I'm going to see everything that Rockstar has and coincided with the 26th, whatever Florida got with May 26th. I'm going to find out something.
Any chance that they delay past May 26th?
A chance, small. But I think the fact that they put that out there, I think we'll more likely get an unfinished game before they push it back again. I don't think they can afford to push it back again, because I think that, again, I think if it was a small delay the first time, you probably had a couple of that in there. But if you pushing it back like 6 months, that's all your equity right there.
That's why I think that's why you're like, I get what you're saying now. Like that's why the pressure has been ramped up so high, because of the length of the delay. Like 6 months is a long time. Like if you told me, all right, so we're scheduled to come out in October, we're delaying it to November, we're delaying it to Christmas. Okay, all right, that's not a crazy delay. That's a few months, few weeks. 6 months or over 6 months is a significant delay, to where now it changes all of, like, if you were planning on buying the game for Christmas, if you were planning on buying the game this fall, like any anticipation for it to come out this year and to be a part of like this year's slate of games, and we all know all the things that are coming out this year,
right,
and then to push it back to next year, now you're affecting all of next year's games, and the expectations are all different. So I completely understand that. Yeah, I think Rockstar, but granted, like I said, Rockstar has the reputation. They have more than enough credibility and built reputation, to where, like, I don't think this is, I think they'll do right by the fans. They've always have. If they've given us no reason to believe that they won't. And I think maybe it drums up. There's a chance also that it drums up even more excitement for the game. Like now, the anticipation of this game, which that does add pressure too. That part adds a lot of pressure too. But the fans are now even more excited because it's further out of reach. It's further out of reach than what we previously thought. So now we really, really want it.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, like it can be hit or miss, but I do think that, like, it can, like I said, like I think there's also like that anticipation factor, because it's like, okay, whatever they're doing is gonna be good. It's gonna be enjoyable. They're making sure it's enjoyable, at the very least, just so they don't fall flat on their faces. But like, we can also look at the glass half full of, it's like, okay, they really cared as much about their fans, to where it's gonna be lit. And that's why I said I think that the fact that they gave us a date is gonna be something significant on that date. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a opening day release. You get X amount of money from a shark card or some shit like that. Like,
yeah, give something to the fans for the patience, the wait. That that's on brand for Rockstar too. So right before we move on, let's we promised the audience that we were gonna rank our favorite GTAs. I say we'll give a top 3 list, a quick top 3 list, maybe a couple honorable mentions. You want to go first of your favorite GTAs?
My favorite GTA, starting at the top, Vice City.
Okay.
Yes, it's like 90% nostalgia based, but that was the first GTA I ever played. Yes, as a kid, I did like Scarface. I probably shouldn't have been watching Scarface, but I like the Scarface vibe. I like the living in Miami. I like the vibrant colors. I like being able to ball. So that is my favorite GTA. My second favorite GTA 5, purely for the online.
Right.
The story was cool. I love the dialogue with the characters. I think that's something that's very underrated in gaming. You know, the voice acting was amazing. Whoever wrote the scripts, going through all the DLCs, every DLC felt like a new game. The characters felt like, like real, like, okay, yeah, I had a vested interest in Franklin. Remember whenever his lady went to go get married, the other dude and stuff like that, I was like, dang, Franklin. Or, whenever Mike, dang, he walked in on the trainer, his wife on the trainer, I was like, oh man, Mike, So GTA 5 for sure. It was just super enjoyable. And then I gotta go classic San Andreas. I felt like that one, for a PlayStation 2 game, to have all those cool customizable features. Remember, you can get fat, you can get bulked up. The music was great. It had the West Coast LA vibe, the West Coast hip hop vibe. So I loved all that in there. I feel like that was a Grand Theft Auto that was like, it was a lot of Black culture in mine. So that definitely has to be in the top 3.
For sure. I think for me, going for my favorite, GTA 4 had the most unique story, I think, of all the GTAs, right? They had so many interesting characters that you met along the way. I loved the RPG aspect of it, where like you basically got to kind of craft your own story. You had to make a lot of decisions throughout the game. The story mode, I mean, I think it did have an online mode. I don't know if a lot of people played that. I didn't play on GTA 4 online. I think that was maybe GTA's first time doing an online mode. I didn't really play that. But the story was phenomenal. I love Nico's story. The ending, you had all the 2 different endings that, depending on the decisions you made, could lead to 2 different endings. So that was just really unique. I love the story. For me, second,
especially for its time.
For its time, right? And like, it came out in like the like late 2000s, so it's still modern enough. Like, it wasn't like in the 80s or 90s, So,
right, but like the choice system, that was still relatively new.
That was still
like, really we see it all the time in games now, but that was like a pretty new concept.
GTA 5, for all the reasons that you named, mainly the online was so good. I played that way more than the story. So GTA 5 for me is number 2. And it's like the longevity, like how it kept me interested for so long, with just adding new things to the online, the things that you could do, the economy of the game, with like, how the money system worked, how you acquired money, how you interacted with other characters, NPCs. In the story mode, like you said, the dialogue, the script was great. So I would say, yeah, that's my second favorite GTA, and San Andreas is my third. Again, much for the same reason that you named. I love the nostalgia of like all of the classic 90s West Coast movies. But still, the story was still unique, and it was goofy enough to where like it felt fun. It wasn't too serious,
Yeah.
We loved CJ's story. Samuel Jackson was in it. It was actually very star-studded. Very, very star-studded.
GTA does a good job of that too, because I saw a clip circulating the other day at GTA 4. It had the Cat Williams comedy show in there. And I was like, that was funny as it.
Yeah. So it's those kind of things that they just sprinkle in there that just up the quality of the game. So for San Andreas, for its time, like when it came out, I thought was one of the more advanced games of its time, because like you said, all the customizations of what you could do to CJ, and hairstyles, body type, it felt like you were living CJ's life on a daily basis, right? So they did a very, very good job at that. The story was super long, if you remember. It was like a very long story, but it was filled with unique missions, some harder than others. I know that helicopter mission was like one of the hardest missions ever,
the train.
The train mission with Big Smoke. Like, there was so much mission variety that San Andreas had. I think GTA 4 didn't. That was one thing I think it could have did a little bit better, was mission variety. GTA 5, same way. Like, they kind of
GTA 4 was definitely very linear with the story, kind of focused on the actual plot. But I think one thing about San Andreas that you gotta give it a little bit more love, which is why like I didn't even want to put it at 3, but that just shows you how good that Rockstar did these games. But like with San Andreas, the PlayStation 2, which this is why PlayStation 2 will always be the GOAT console to me, because the creativity that came with all of those type of games to where you could play it for a very long time. Like you said, the story was long because there wasn't any online or, you know, like it wasn't any cop outs.
Right.
Everything with that game, like they sat there and they gave you a game that you were going to maximize and enjoy, you know, fully. Right. And so that gives me hope. Like I said, I'm even if GTA 6 isn't what we think it is, I'm still not about to. I'm still gonna give Rockstar some grace because I know they got too much equity for me to, you know, like they really care about the gamers. You know, they're Rockstar is probably the best gaming studio, honestly.
And I would say also with GTA 6 that even if it came out and it's not the best right away, expect a ton of updates and patches.
Patches.
They're gonna update and patch
story, new content. Like if you really think about it, in GTA 5, we probably got like 4 extra games.
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh yeah, easy. Like the value of what GTA 5 was, if you really add up everything that they put in that game, that's a $200+ game. You know, that you got for $70. So
don't say that too much because they try to sell GTA 6 $200. I might just have to buy
that's what I'm talking about. See, that's my point. That's what I was saying is like if they're delaying it and they're adding all this crazy stuff to it, will that change the price of the game that we're already expecting to pay probably triple digits for this game? And it's probably already going to be a 200 gigabyte game. And now we're looking at it like, okay, how expensive is this going to get for us? They're already spending like $2 billion on developing it.
I'll give you a number. I gotta just throw out a number right now. 150. I think that's the mark.
Maybe so. I think it caps out at 150.
I think 150 is the mark. I think if they go above 150, they're gonna turn a lot of people off. But I think if they can get 150, a lot of people are still gonna be annoyed. But I think they're still gonna go for it because I was just thinking like this really wouldn't be the first triple digit game. 2K. Whenever they started doing the Legend editions, those are $150. And I know people that regularly get that version. They just had Madden NCAA. You could pre-order the MVP edition. That's like $100 and something. So
yeah,
I think 150 is probably gonna be the number.
Oh man, look, 150 is pushing it for me, man. 150 is pushing it. I think that might just be my absolute limit. And 150,
that's the absolute limit.
150, I'm gonna have to wait a little while, get some reviews in first, have some gameplay video come out.
If I wasn't a content creator, it would be waiting till Black Friday to where that shit's $70.
Yeah, right. So we'll see. At least we have a date. That's right. At least if there's any good news to take out of this, we have a concrete date, May 26, 2026. Mark your calendars. So we're gonna move on. Ja, I know you saw Thunderbolts over the weekend, and you had a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to say, a lot of thoughts. So the floor is yours. Honest review of the movie.
So remember how we said that we did like the stacked up to 3 that was supposed to be coming out: Thunderbolts, Superman, Fantastic Four. Thunderbolts, and I said that this is just a filler movie. And I could hit or miss. I am so glad I went to go see this movie. It raised the expectation level for Superman and Fantastic Four because the Thunderbolts is not a marquee group in Marvel Comics. They were around. This is kind of a spoiler, but the internet's probably kind of spoiling it at this point. You know, the Thunderbolts in the comics and at the end of the movie, the reason that it has an asterisk because they become the new Avengers, right? Yeah. Called the new Avengers. So in the comics, after the Captain America Civil War, Tony Stark formed the new Avengers, which was basically Team Iron Man. But then the U.S. government and Norman Osborn took the Thunderbolts team, which is the same super soldiers and cast-offs and things like that. They formed the Dark Avengers, which later became the New Avengers. So they're kind of mixing something like that in the MCU, which is what they're going for.
Okay.
Man, for this felt like a classic MCU feel, like a pre-Infinity Wars, pre-Endgame feel. It was a team-up movie, but not really. It gave like, if you can mash the Guardians of the Galaxy kind of cast and camaraderie with the storytelling of a Captain America movie.
That's interesting.
The first three, not Brave New World, but we'll talk about that later. But
the Chris Evans ones, yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's what it felt like to me. Like, I don't think that I've enjoyed a non-world threat, which, I mean, this has kind of had a world threat in there with, them going against the Void and stuff, but a non-world threat Avengers movie like this since Captain America Winter Soldier. This was really good. The fight scenes were great. All the characters were fun. It had like that classic jokey feel, but they were all compelling. You know what I'm glad that they didn't do? It's not kind of like a spoiler, but they didn't like Bucky us out because we already know Bucky. They focused on the other characters. I would recommend anybody watching this, watch the Black Widow movie, just so you can be kind of familiar. Watch the Black Widow movie, watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and watch Hawkeye, just to kind of get familiar with the characters. If you're a comic book fan, you'll kind of recognize some of them anyway. But man, it was just dope. It was just such like a good, fun movie. Like, honestly, I think you called it, where it was just gonna be like a nice, fun movie. Yeah, and that's what it was. That's what it was. It was just like a good, fun movie. The end credit scenes the end credit scenes are very important. They kind of set up everything that's about to happen with Doomsday and Infinity Wars and things like that. What their actual movie, which I appreciated, is that it didn't have any real bearing on the next story. That's why I said it had like that classic Marvel movie feel, because you know how we used to be able to get a Thor movie and it just be whatever's going on with Thor. Iron Man movie, and it's just what's going on with Iron Man. The Captain America movie, and it's just going on with Captain America. And it might be referenced in the team-up movie, but it doesn't really, it's not like a crutch for it.
Sure.
And like after Endgame, every piece of Marvel content, it just leaned into the next thing. So this felt like its own movie. And it was just super dope.
After seeing this, reassess, for me right quick. How do you feel about going forward with you said it raised the bar for you with Superman and Fantastic Four. Is it still, like, if you had to re-rank your anticipation, is it still 3?
It's still 3, just in terms of the cast, because like I said, like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still just a bunch of super soldiers. So like, they don't do nothing but like punch and shoot. So, but I would say that I definitely underestimated what they can pull out of this movie. And I think I have a theory why it was so well written, so well shot. I think that why it was better than Captain America Brave New World, because this was the Kang movie. This is supposed to be the Kang Dynasty movie before they scrapped it. And I think they just, instead of reallocating the budget, I think they just gave them that budget. And they did a great job with it, considering like the scope of it. So, which I ain't gonna lie, part of me is very curious to see what they would have actually done with a Kang movie.
Yeah.
But I like how they introduce Sentry. Man, I can't wait for you to see it.
I'm gonna see it tomorrow.
It definitely, the direction, just me knowing a comic book nerd, I have like a full theory of like where we're going with the whole Doom saga, and even post MCU, of like how they're introducing it and things like that. And again, I just got to give it hats off to it's its own identity. This is a Thunderbolts movie. It's not a team up movie. Remember Captain America Brave New World? We came back saying that it felt like a Hulk movie. Yeah. Without the Incredible Hulk was in there. It had all those Hulk references, right?
Right.
This didn't have any of that. This didn't have any, it's a Captain America movie, it's a Shield movie, and like, this was a Thunderbolts movie. You only cared about the Thunderbolts. They were the perfect cast of misfits that, the cool choreography. I always love. Then this is why the Captain America movies I felt like were the best individual movies in the MCU, because I love the hand-to-hand choreography. It's easy to CGI a big monster or lightning or rockets or laser blasters.
That's an interesting take. That's an interesting
but
take.
The hand-to-hand choreography, like the fighting was spot on, and this felt like that. So super, super dope.
I saw that like a lot of the actors did their own stunts. Like I know Florence Pugh jumped off that building herself. Like she talked about how she actually did that. I saw that the ratings were really good. I saw that it was like actually I have it in my notes here that it was one of the highest rated MCU films on Rotten Tomatoes behind Endgame. It had a huge opening weekend surge in ratings amongst fans and critics. So a lot of people said on Twitter that I saw was like, oh my God, I walked out the theater shocked at how good the movie was, especially given like these last few Marvel movies, especially the ones of not just team ups, but just like, or I'm sorry, not just movies, but like the TV shows some of them have been like hit or miss. Some of them have been like, do I really care? Outside of things like Loki, WandaVision, those were really good. I thought a lot of people just weren't really feeling it. The Eternals were that was not really good at all. So it's like I don't know if people had low expectations, but they just had like skeptical expectations, and then Thunderbolts comes out of nowhere and it's surprisingly really, really good. So I'm excited.
I think they definitely did have low expectations. I had low expectations for it. But like you said, it just blew me out the water. Because it was such a classic feel. Like Marvel movies felt like homework. After Endgame, all Marvel content, it felt like homework.
Wow, that's an interesting take. I've never heard somebody say it like that.
Like Loki was cool. WandaVision, I went back to rewatch WandaVision. It was cool. I didn't watch it at the time that it came out, but I watched it to see like how we got here from Multiverse of Madness, which you could tell that whoever did Multiverse of Madness didn't watch WandaVision, because it was like, what the fuck? But Loki was really cool, and that's just because I like Loki. I like Tom Hiddleston.
Me too.
The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that was actually good, but they pretty much nerfed it all in the Captain America Brave New World. Like they summarized the first like 20 minutes of Captain America Brave New World. They summarized the whole Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So it was like, it's really no point in watching that either. And then honestly, I think they should have incorporated Bucky in that too. I mean, granted, they probably knew what he was going to do with the Thunderbolts, but I think he was cool in the Thunderbolts too. But they probably should have had him and Sam still do like the buddy cop thing.
So where would you rank so far? We have Brave New World and we have Thunderbolts as the Marvel movies that are out so far, the big ones at least. Is Thunderbolts better?
Ant-Man in there. We gotta do Ant-Man in there too.
Ant-Man. Okay, so rank those three.
Thunderbolts way down here. Ant-Man.
Okay.
Brave New World right below that.
Okay. Ant-Man and Brave New World.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. Wakanda Forever. That came out too. It's the whole COVID brain, because all that stuff was coming out at once. It was pushing out too much content. And then Multiverse of Madness. So let me start. So we got 5 movies. 6 Guardians of the Galaxy 3. We got 6 movies.
I was thinking more of just this year alone, but sure.
Oh yeah, just this. All right. So Thunderbolts, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Wakanda Forever, and then like those last 3. Oh, Multiverse of Madness was okay. Yeah. And then like those last 2. Yeah. Captain America Brave New World, they fumbled that to me. I'm sorry. That was one of the worst ones that came out.
That's what I meant by like Thunderbolts had the privilege of low expectations going in, based on all the movies that we've seen prior to it, the recent movies that we've seen prior to it, that like, okay, the people were going to go in like, okay, obviously it's a filler movie. Like that's what most people had in their heads. I had that in my head. You had that in your head. It's a filler movie, and we expected that, and we just wanted fun. And so from what I've seen so far, what you're telling me, that they definitely delivered on the fun aspect of it. And was the writing good, by the way?
Yes, the writing was good. It made sense. It wasn't just like throwing shit at the wall.
There we go.
And I think it was pretty comic accurate, actually.
Okay.
A lot of people aren't gonna like how they come to a resolution, but that's actually comic accurate with that character. I'll say that without spoiling. But I think that one thing that the Thunderbolts had going for themselves, it was original. You know, because all the other movies that came out post in-game, they were continuation of characters. We seen Wanda for 3-4 movies at that point, and then we give her another movie. We seen 4 Captain America movies, so it had to live up to Captain America, right? Ant-Man, I don't know who actually would have to go see Ant-Man, but Black Panther 2, Black Panther 1 was like the highest gross. I think before Endgame was the highest grossing Marvel movie ever. And then, so of course, Wakanda Forever had to live up to that expectation. So, like, all that stuff, Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be like the trilogy, blah, blah, blah. So it's like all that stuff, I think, played a factor in it. But with the Thunderbolts, the average person didn't know what the Thunderbolts are, didn't know who the Thunderbolts were, right? Like, it was like, okay, we see Winter Soldier, and if you didn't watch any of the Marvel shows, you're probably not going to know who the rest of the cast is. So even if you don't, I think you should watch it, but I don't think you have to watch it to still enjoy the movie, because they do a pretty solid job of getting you invested in the characters.
So like, you know, could you elaborate a little bit more on what do you mean by it raises the expectations for the other 2 movies? Like, what about Superman and now Fantastic Four are you looking for or expecting after seeing Thunderbolts?
Well, with Thunderbolts, this was a pivot movie.
Okay.
Right. Because remember, whenever Marvel fired Jonathan Majors and scrapped the Kang storyline, it went from Avengers, Kang Dynasty, and Secret Wars to Doomsday. They pushed back Secret Wars, and then this was supposed to be Kang Dynasty. So for a while, this was just a blank movie. And now, like, they didn't even have a title until like a year ago. So you could tell this is a pivot. So if they did this off of a pivot, Fantastic Four has been in the works for years. Marvel bought the IP for Fantastic Four like 5-6 years ago. So Fantastic Four has been in the work for years. So that has to hit, because now you have an expectation, right?
Right.
And you wrote the Fantastic Four movie with the previous storyline. So of course you had to probably switch some things, but it was significant.
Okay.
Right? So that there's a large expectation of that. And why I say that Superman is expectation is rose, because James Gunn, this is supposed to be the first flagship movie of the DCEU. So this is how you're going to compete with Marvel. And Marvel just rolled out, honestly, C-list characters and put out just a great movie. You have the A-list character. You have
the A-list character.
Yeah, you have one of the two. You have one of the 2 pillars of DC. You cannot mess this movie up.
Ooh.
And so, like, at the very least, it needs to be enjoyable. Clearly, the DCEU, with their slate of projects, which we can talk about another episode of things that they put together, you can tell they're kind of going in a Marvelish route of mixing in some A with some B, some C characters and stuff like that. So if you're going to copy the MCU, you need to have something that's on par with the MCU. And I think the Thunderbolts, just the feel and the vibe that I got from it, was such classic MCU movie to me. It wasn't too goofy like Thor Ragnarok or Thor Love and Thunder, where they started playing too much into the Disneyfication of it, right?
Yeah, okay.
It wasn't too dark and serious like those early Thor movies. It was just like a good mesh. Like I said, it felt like an old Captain America movie. Like, it was just a good watch with a character that you probably didn't know much about. But I can promise you, there are going to be some kids that are going to see the Thunderbolts and see how they were fighting, and they're going to see the Sentry, and they're going to be like, man, I want to go look into the comics with that. I want to go see what about that character, right? And that's real. That's the vibe that it left off. So
that's incredible, actually, because, like, you know, I think Marvel had a tremendous amount of pressure to try to get back into their roots. The thing that made them so successful in the first place. Like, the MCU what we knew and love. Which, by the way, fun fact: 17 years the other day. I think it was Saturday. I want to say it was 17 years to the day of when the MCU launched with the first Iron Man movie. So, we have a 17-year history of the MCU, and we've seen its progression, how it's evolved over these many years, and to see a movie that goes back to that original roots, that what you talked about, how it felt like an old Captain America movie. It felt like how the MCU felt like back in 2012, 2013. That's refreshing, and I feel like a lot of fans can appreciate that, along with doing it with a unique story, with unique characters that a lot of people, to your credit, like what you said, maybe not have heard about or know a whole lot about. So I can't wait to see it. Like I said, I'm gonna try to go see it tomorrow. I have some time to go see it tomorrow, and I'll love to judge it for myself. We'll obviously give you a full, complete review this upcoming Friday for episode 7 of Nerdology. So, I mean, man, outside of GTA getting postponed, 2025 has been phenomenal. If you're into nerd culture, everything about nerd culture for 2025 has been delivering. We have Doom Eternals coming out later this month. So all the Doom fans that you got that looking forward to.
They have been eating good.
Yeah, the games, the movies, obviously
the
Superman,
shows,
the shows.
Yeah.
I'm catching up on Andor at the moment. Season 2 already had dropped. We got the first 3 or 4 episodes of season 2 of Andor. Daredevil, we've been trying to talk about Daredevil for a long time on Nerdology, but that wrapped up a couple weeks ago, and that was really good. Although the only criticism for that was that I think it focused a little less. I wish we would have more of Daredevil, right? And I get the story plot of I don't know if you saw it yet, but I get the story plot of he gave it all up because after Foggy died, but I still would like to see. I wish they could have introduced Daredevil a little sooner into the season, but we're gonna get season 2 next year of that. So we give complete reviews this upcoming Friday. We can go look back throughout all the stuff and give complete reviews.
One thing I like about those shows, like a Daredevil, and I think that Marvel should just stick to this formula: the street level, the kind of smaller time heroes. You don't need to plug those. Save the shows for that.
Yes. Yeah,
don't let the shows be a storyboard into the next movie. Mm-hmm. Save the shows for that. And I'm saying this knowing that what happened with Thunderbolts, that's a little bit different, but because it was a team up, which I think I wouldn't be surprised if Daredevil wasn't in Spider-Man, because that's supposed to be the in-between movie.
Yeah.
And it's been confirmed that is going to be a street level movie, so I wouldn't be surprised if Daredevil is in Spider-Man. They do some kind of thing, but
that'd be cool. Fun fact about or not fun fact, but hot take I should say about that is I think Spider-Man should be treated like a street level superhero and get more, and have, instead of him getting movies, I think a series would do Spider-Man a lot better.
I think so, and that's Sony's fault, because Marvel, the MCU, and Sony, the stupid thing with the rights, knowing that Spider-Man still is the most popular Marvel character, people are going to want to see him, but so they had to put him with the Avengers, which is why I'm glad that Peter Parker lost his memory. I'm not going to lie. I do want to see his reaction whenever he sees that Dr. Doom and Tony Stark are at the same face. I do want to see that reaction, but I don't want I don't need any more multiversal Spider-Man. I got my nostalgia box checked. I don't need to see that again. I don't need Toby and Andrew to rock with him again. I want to see Spider-Man versus the Sinister Six and the Green Goblin and stuff like that. I don't need him to be going against end of the world events. So I'm very cool on that. Save that for. That's what we got the Fantastic Four now. That's what we got the X-Men for now. So
we're this year we're just so blessed with all the stuff that we're getting. It's crazy. This is we're gonna wrap the episode up here. It's been a shortened episode. We got a lot, like I said, this upcoming Friday, we're going to be talking about a lot of things. We're going to give some more reviews on some of these things that are coming out. Before we wrap up, though, Jai, you want to tell the people what's going on, what's coming up in IMS?
IMS. So it's the NBA playoffs. We got GTS After Dark doing a lot of playoff recaps. NIT Pod Boys still going strong, keeping up with your current events. We have a lot of funnies. We just recently did a Mount Rushmore, so that video will be coming out soon. We just went through, they had the trend of the Mount Rushmore Cartoon Network, Mount Rushmore Nickelodeon, things like that. So we went through some of those, just while addressing some funnies in the news. And Hey Jai makes his return back this month, so you'll be getting my unfiltered thoughts on things happening around the globe.
Cool. We'll tap into that. Comment, like, subscribe, share, all that great stuff. The CL Smooth Gaming channel, IMS Productions. We have plenty of content coming y'all's way. So stay tapped in. Like I said, guys, thank you guys. 74 subscribers and counting. We're climbing up here on CL Smooth Gaming. Like I said, subscribe to us, subscribe to IMS. You're not gonna regret it. So until then, we're gonna catch you guys back Friday. Like I said, this was a special episode on Monday. We had to push it back, but we'll catch you guys Friday for another episode of Nerdology. But until then, be cool.
Peace.